Welcome back to the Resistance Revolutionary Party. I'm your host, Gregory Duncan. The first 5 previous videos were the lead up to this 6th video, which I will now explain the reasons and goals for the existence of the Resistance Revolutionary Party. The resistance did not start with me, nor will it end with me. And it's not just about resisting Donald Trump, but the Republican Party as well. Before November 8, 2016, very few people, including myself, believed that Trump would win the presidency. Hillary Clinton might not have been the most liked presidential candidate. That's up for debate. She did, after all, win the popular vote. And she sure was one of the most prepared and qualified people to ever run for the job. But I guess experience, knowledge, and readiness apparently wasn't enough for some people. She completely wiped the floor up with Trump in all 3 presidential debates. And as we saw, Trump was left befuddled and defeated in the last debate as he fumbled with his notes, looking downward, realizing he was outmatched. Yet, he has something going for him that many of us did not know. And that is, there are millions of ignorant, stupid people infested in this country. But we know it now, and they're allowed to vote. The resistance began on November 9th, 2016, the day after Trump won the election. On January 21st, 2017, it made its first stance with the Women's March, and on November 3rd, 2018, its power became evident to any and all non-believers when the Democrats handily won back the House of Representatives in spite of the Republicans suppressing the vote, gerrymandering, and trying to manipulate their pathetic policies to fool the public into voting for them again. So that brings us to today, and the resistance continues. Remember, Trump plus Republicans equals fascism. And I don't say that to be hyperbolic. It's the truth. I will now explain the goals of the resistance. The 5 short-term goals of the Resistance Revolutionary Party. The number 1 goal was to defeat the Republican Party in the House in 2018 with a majority of no less than 300 seats, and the Senate in the 2020 with no less than 55 to 60 seats. Well, we fell short of about 65 seats or so, but still took control of the House. It wasn't the tsunami I'd hoped, but nor was it the blue wave that many have suggested, but that's my opinion. And a blue wave to me would have been at least 250 seats. But nevertheless, the resistance is on its way to bringing back freedom, where democracy is for all and no one is above the law. The second goal of the resistance is to make sure Donald Trump is a one-term lame duck president. I don't want the Democrats to become an ignorant, useless, pathetic, do-nothing party like the Republicans were during President Obama's term. I care about the country. I want the Democrats to work with Trump, and as Nancy Pelosi said, on democratic issues only. He can manage to sign his name to whatever it is that we want, the resistance. The third goal is, if Trump has not resigned, and I want people to listen to this very carefully, because now we're getting into the meat of the heart of this resistance. The third goal, if Trump has not resigned or been impeached and removed from office by Congress or imprisoned by the U.S. government before the next presidential election, then I, along with millions of resistance voters, will send Trump a devastating loss in 2020. But not only a majority popular vote victory of 70 million people, but also an electoral college vote victory win of no less than 400 to his Democratic opponent. Fourth goal, expose and get rid of blatant liars, misleading cable news sources, and conspiracy theorists on our radio, TV, internet airwaves, as well as in newspapers and magazines, by disgusting people such as Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, Ann Coulter, Alex Jones, etc. The fifth goal is to start an unrelenting campaign explaining to a non-receptive public the differences between a journalist and an opinion commentator. because people seem to be a little confused when it comes to knowing what the truth is out there. So let's understand what a journalist is, and I think there are some journalists need to understand what a journalist is. It's your job to get to the truth, nothing but. Not being so-called fair. No, the truth is fair. And also, as well as getting rid of, explaining the difference between legitimate news outlets and versus tabloid or conspiracy theorist propagandists. And just as important, the differences between Democrats and Republicans, because there's a major difference. These goals are not just directed at Donald Trump and the Republican politicians, but specifically to make sure that the ignorant, stupid, deplorable Republican voters out there will never be able to effectively elect into office any despicable people such as the following again: Mitch McConnell, John Boehner, Paul Ryan, Darrell Issa, Trey Gowdy, Michelle Bachmann, John McCain, Sarah Palin, Devin Nunes, Bob Corker, Mitt Romney, Mike Pence, Kevin McCarthy, Eric Cantor, Jeff Flake, Jan Brewer, Rick Scott, Rick Santorum, Rick Perry, Newt Gingrich, Marco Rubio, Bobby Jindal, Chris Christie, Scott Walker, Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee. That's just to name a few. These are non-stop goals. Non-stop goals. A never-ending movement and a continuous way of life that needs to be as American as baseball, hot dogs, and mom's apple pie. The U.S. must continue to lead the rest of the world on the destiny of democracy on the global scale and never allow another Donald the Con artist Trump type to flourish again in the United States of America. Next, we have the long-term goals of the Resistance Revolutionary Party. Allow Special Prosecutor Mueller to continue his investigation regarding any and all illegal activities involving Russia's interference in our 2016 presidential election, and any American citizens who willingly and knowingly aided and abetted in that interference, including Donald Trump, will be held accountable. If or when Trump is found to have assisted in any way with the Russians' interference, Trump will either be forced to resign or impeached, and then removed from office, and thereafter prosecuted to the full extent of the law. In addition, if found guilty, any actions he took as president will be disavowed to become null and void, effective immediately. This is not up for debate. This must happen. If he is found guilty of having committed treason, all actions he took as president should be, must be, and will be become null and void. Second, primary all and any Democrats who voted with the Republicans to confirm Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. Now, both Joe Donnelly and Heidi Heitkamp ran unopposed in the 2018 primaries and both lost in the general election. So that's a problem solved. Joe Manchin, who was another person who voted to, so-called Democrat, voted to confirm those two. He won his primary, and he was reelected in the general. So we need to try again in 2024. Third, after taking back the House in 2018, see which Democrats will be on board in resisting any Trump proposals. Those who are not, and they're up for re-election in 2020, primary them as well. 4, support Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or any other Democrat for president in 2020, and either put an end to gerrymandering and redistricting by permanently making it illegal, or gerrymander and redistrict House seats that favor Democrats during the 2020 U.S. Census. make sure that happens. One of the two. Either make it illegal or gerrymander the heck out of districts that Democrats are in charge of. The fifth goal. By 2020, succeed in making Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, American Samoa, and Guam the 51st through 55th states of the United States of America, if any are seeking statehood. If not, well, if any are seeking statehood. 6. After taking the House in 2018 and the Senate and presidency in 2020, these will be the 5 top platforms of the Resistance Revolutionary Party. Raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, an increased increment of $1.55 per year over a 5-year period starting in 2021. And starting in 2026, raise it again to $18.50 an hour, an increased increment of 35 cents over a 10-year period. Free college tuition, why can't I say that word? Free college tuition by 2030, if not sooner. Improve the Affordable Care Act or pursue free health care for all, single payer, by 2030, if not sooner. Gun control. No violent or mentally ill person will be allowed to purchase, own, or carry a handgun or a rifle anywhere in the U.S. No civilian will be allowed to purchase, own, or carry any military-style weapons, and bump stocks will be banned. Firearms that will not be affected by this law. Handguns and rifles. No one who is on the no-fly list will be allowed to purchase, own, or carry any type of firearm in the U.S. Starting in 2024, and this is something that we all need to agree on and see that it gets done. Starting in 2024, 2-term limits will be placed on the following government offices. Senators, 2 6-year terms. Congresspersons, 2 2-year terms. Supreme Court justices, 1 10-year term. Mayors and governors, as is, 2 4-year terms, as it already is. And for other public, I believe in some states, I think you can run for governor for more than 3 terms. For more than 2 terms. That needs to be there needs to be a stop put to that. And for other public office seats, no changes at this time. Unless someone out there has any other ideas, I'm sure the resistance will take it up. Also, limits on campaign spending of no more than $100,000 and no donations of more than $500 from individuals. Start a news cable. Oh, and this is the start a newspaper, cable news network, and an internet news website to investigate and report on all and any political, business, and religious illegal activities. Those are the short and long-term goals of the Resistance Revolutionary Party. Now, we must resist. That goes without saying. At any rate, remember the 2010 remember the 2010 Tea Party and what they were able to achieve because they were relentlessly focused on their agenda to re-elect Republican politicians, to elect and re-elect Republican politicians. Remember Occupy Wall Street. They were not able to accomplish anything because they had no focus, no agenda, and no intentions on voting in the 2014 midterm election. Their only purpose was to set up tents and to be a nuisance, which led to nothing but a pathetic moment in time. Remember Hands Up, Don't Shoot and Black Lives Matter. Hands Up, Don't Shoot faded into the wind, and Black Lives Matter foes were able to distort and reinterpret Black Lives Matter's meaning into only Black Lives Matter instead of Black Lives Matter too. They know what it meant. Stop playing around. Occupy Wall Street and Hands Up, Don't Shoot became moments in history. The resistance can't make that same mistake. It must become a movement, not a moment. And like the Tea Party, it will continue as it started, at the grassroots. It will have purpose. It will be relentless. It will be done. There are elections that will be won by the resistance, and not just in 2018, but also in 2020 and beyond. Don't just throw the bums out, keep them out. Now, reasons a U.S. president or any government official can be impeached. Treason. In treason, the crime, according to our Constitution, treason, the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. Bribery, the giving or offering of a bribe. High crimes and misdemeanors, tax evasions, or obstruction of justice. Criminal activity or serious abuse of power, including both legal and illegal activities such as misconduct, violations of oath of office, serious incompetence, or in the case of judges' activities, which undermine public confidence or damage the integrity of the judiciary. Removing a U.S. president from office through impeachment. The House of Representatives would need to rule in favor of impeachment, and then the Supreme Court justice would reside over the trial, and it would take in the Senate to remove Trump from office or to remove a president from office 67 senators, a 2/3 vote. Now, speaking of Trump, has Donald Trump broken the law, violated the law, or impeded the law in any way that could cause him to be removed from office by resignation, impeachment, or imprisonment? 3 reasons why Donald Trump needs to be removed from the office of the President of the United States. Reason number 1, Trump should resign. Because Donald Trump uses the office of the President of the United States to gain monetary compensation for himself and his businesses. That is a direct conflict of interest represented by the Emoluments Clause. He invites foreign leaders to his Mar-a-Lago resort, allows his staff to encourage consumers to support his daughter's clothing line, and does the people's business at his hotels, where the taxpayers pay for the bills. He also has shown he is incapable of faithfully executing his responsibilities as President of the United States because of his incompetence, ignorance, and inability to grasp and understand the minimalist, basic functions in carrying out the job as President. Reason number 2, Trump should be impeached. Because of his involvement with Russia's already interference in the 2016 presidential election, where he personally requested that a foreign adversarial government find his opponent Hillary Clinton's alleged 30,000 emails in hope to give himself an edge over her in the 2016 presidential election. Also, trying to impede an ongoing investigation into Russia's interference in our democracy by firing FBI agent James Comey in his pursuit of justice, which is an obvious obstruction of justice. Turning a blind eye, deaf ear, and taking the word of a murderous dictator over 3 of U.S. government intelligence agencies, the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA, when they informed him that Russia indeed interfered in the 2016 presidential election and continues to do so in the tried to do so in the midterm elections, the 2018 midterm elections, with no response nor any condemnation from Trump. Reason number 3, Trump should be in prison. Reason number 3, Trump should be in prison because of the treasonous actions and his contempt for the U.S. Constitution and the rule of law in not faithfully executing his duties and responsibilities to the office of the President of the United States. Examples: trying to undo his predecessor's sanction response for Russia's interference in our 2016 presidential election, and not executing the new sanctions that Congress overwhelmingly placed on Russia. On July 16, 2018, Trump committed treason when he was asked by a reporter, did he believe his own intelligence agencies that Russia had interfered in the 2000 presidential election, or did he believe Putin? His response was that he didn't understand why Russia would interfere and that it could have been someone else, which is an obvious dereliction of duty to protect the United States of America from foreign threats. Members of Congress, House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell should also be investigated in their enabling of Trump's illegal actions during his presidency. And I repeat, if Trump is found guilty, he is not the only one that should be investigated. And if found guilty, Paul Ryan as well as Mitch McConnell should be held accountable for their part in allowing President Trump, to disregard all constitutional laws by looking the other way, as Trump committed treason, bribery, and high crimes and misdemeanors, along with being led by a foreign leader, Vladimir Putin, to attack the republic and try to undermine its democracy. Other co-conspirators: Vice President Mike Pence, the entire Republican House of Representatives and Senate in Congress during Donald Trump's traitorous actions before and after he was sworn in as president. Now, this video is coming to an end, so be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and leave your comments down at the bottom. Remember, making a difference starts with you. You're either the cause or the solution to a problem. Don't be the cause.